What would happen if you went to a cardiologist?
They would fall out of their chair when they saw my lipids. They would say
How
that
bad is it?
my most recent LDL was very high. It was 533 milligrams per deciliter.
Dude. Welcome everyone to episode 1 of The Meat Grinder. And who else to put through the first inaugural grind than the meat messiah himself? Welcome to The Meat Grinder, Paul Saladino. Paul dubs himself the Carnivore MD, and on his site he gives a brief rundown of going to medical school, spending a lot of his time focusing on health and nutrition, and he finishes the page up with, "All of my research has led me to believe that an animal-based diet is the most species-appropriate diet for humans, and the best way to live a life of optimal health." Sounds great. I mean, he did go to medical school, he has an MD, so he's pretty much got everything figured out nutritionally, right? Well, not quite, you see. Paul can be a bit hypocritical. For years he was promoting the meat-only keto diet. He even wrote a book called The Carnivore Code. But then after he ran into some pretty serious health problems, surprise, surprise, who would have known, he added fruit and honey back into his diet and immediately felt better. So the carnivore commander isn't really a carnivore at all. We will get back to that. But before we do, let's establish that Paul cherry picks and misrepresents studies in order to back up his arguments quite a bit. I think he just hopes that his followers aren't actually going to look at the studies and they'll just take him on his MD word for it, which unfortunately does seem to be working, although I don't really know what else I should expect from people who eat a stick of butter every day as a health food. Unfortunately for Paul, I caught him red-handed doing exactly this on my Instagram. Let's take a look.
Vegans still crave meat. Don't believe me?
Nope, I don't trust a single thing you say, Paul.
There's a very interesting study that shows that vegans and vegetarians...
Hold on there, Paul. As a vegan, I don't need a study to tell you that the meat section at the store is disgusting.
When we put electrodes on their brain, at a conscious level, they may have an aversion to meat.
Oh, so you're saying that the vegans didn't want to eat the meat?
But at a deep-seated evolutionary level, they still have a positive response to things like meat and nutrient-rich foods like organs.
Oh, Polly boy. You're leaving out critical information. Don't you think it's wrong to lie? First off, the study was done on vegetarians, not vegans. Strike one. Second off, he forgot to mention that these participants were food-deprived vegetarians, so they were already starving when they went into the study. You could have showed these people banana peels and their mouth would have been watering. There's also an argument to be made that in modern times, things like cheese and burgers aren't necessarily always made from animals. So it's not surprising that a vegetarian who regularly eats veggie burgers had his mouth water when he saw a picture of a burger while being starved. Not exactly conclusive evidence that all vegans crave meat. This one is bad. I think they're getting desperate, guys. Carnivores are always saying that the science is a slam dunk against veganism, but if that's true, I wonder why Paul had to twist the truth of this study. For how qualified Paul's pedigree technically is, he really has some of the wildest takes on cholesterol, and he disagrees with just about every doctor and study about it ever.
What would happen if you went to a cardiologist?
They would fall out of their chair when they saw my lipids. They would say
How
that
bad is it?
my most recent LDL was very high. It was 533 milligrams per deciliter.
Dude. That's insane. To put this into perspective, Johns Hopkins lists 190 as very high, top of the reference range, and he's got almost 3 times that amount. Without a doubt, Paul has the highest cholesterol that I have ever seen. It's almost as high as he must be in order to be saying these stupid things.
Is this going to raise your cholesterol? I get this question all the time, guys, and this is the wrong question. The first question is, are you metabolically healthy? I'll be honest with you. My cholesterol is high. I've checked it on my blood work, but I am metabolically healthy. I know this, and so I do not fear red meat. And why would I? This is one of the most nutrient-rich foods on the planet. This is a health food. I believe that the whole narrative around cholesterol, LDL, and red meat and saturated fat is wrong. That essentially you've been lied to by your doctor. There are all of these medical ideas that are fallacies parroted in medical schools, enforced by pharmaceutical companies. This is a health food. You do not need to fear saturated fat from red meat if you are metabolically healthy, and don't worry about your cholesterol. That's different than what Western medicine will tell you, but this will help you thrive for real.
He's going to unalive people, plain and simple. Johns Hopkins, the #1 medical school in all specialties for 21 years straight, is saying that you are in trouble if your LDL is at 190, and this man is walking around with almost 3 times that amount encouraging other people to do the same. The worst part is that he's convincing people their blood markers flashing warning signs are completely unimportant to pay attention to. Just a bunch of lies. Imagine being a doctor and your patient is some devout follower who's hanging on to every word of the meat messiah's advice. He's slamming down carnivore salads of bacon, ground beef, ribs every day, and then his blood tests come back with sky-high cholesterol levels, and you tell him you're concerned and we need to make some changes. His heavy breathing intensifies, he stands up to look at you with bloodshot eyes, and then he begins to babble off some of the salad man's worst pieces of advice. You try speaking one more time, but he stops you, and he laughs at your concerns and says, "I'm gonna go eat 2 steaks, just to prove you wrong, doc." Boy, you certainly got me. Wait, if Paul's a doctor, he's gotta be liable in some way or another when people take his nutritional and medical advice and then inevitably end up in the hospital. Right? Please tell me I'm right. I mean, we don't even have to speculate that his bad advice is gonna hurt people. If you look under one of his videos, you'll see some really sad and concerning comments like this one. "Always had high cholesterol, but chose not to take statins because I exercised regularly and questioned the effectiveness of them. Ended up having a quadruple bypass surgery at age 54. And it gets worse. Look at this one. I'm no doctor, but I ignored my own doctor's concern about my persistently high LDL because of Paul's advice. Fast forward, my LDL got worse in my 50s and my doc ordered a CTA. I had extensive plaque scoring and was more than 50% occluded on the right side. The conflicting advice is so hard to sort through." Oh my gosh, there are endless amounts of these. Here's another one. "I am 6 days into carnivore and my stomach is in such bad pain that I don't think I can continue. If I weren't in so much pain, I'd try it longer, but this much gastrointestinal pain is concerning." Man, the carnivore channels never mention these, but they get worse. "In the last few months, I've been eating a strict carnivore diet until I ran into some serious issues. I was having heart palpitations, irregular heartbeat, tightness in the left side of my chest, numbness and tingling in my left arm. I listened daily to all the big YouTuber carnivore influencers, and it made sense until it didn't." One thing I know is that saying shocking things gets you a lot of attention, but even more if they're really stupid. So I don't know if at this point he's just trying to sound stupid, but let's just say Paul's been getting a lot of attention.
I don't think there are any risks to eating animal foods exclusively. There are no risks in terms of kidney function. There are many studies which show that high protein diets do not affect kidney function. There are no studies interventionally that show that eating meat is going to increase the risk of any single cancer. There are no risks to eating the foods that we have been eating as humans for our entire existence.
See? Pretty stupid. I told you. You're probably waiting for me to home run this easy pitch with some examples of why he's wrong about the risks, but I don't even have to.
When his colleague, Dr. Sean Baker, an orthopedic surgeon, ate 1 year on the carnivore diet, his hemoglobin A1C was 6.3. That's pre-diabetic. His testosterone was under 250.
Wait, didn't he just say there's no risks?
I don't think there are any risks to eating animal foods exclusively.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what he had to say as a response. Oh, right. Except he doesn't. He just moves on. Classic Paul move. Disregard the information you don't like. I will give him a pass though. I've been on the doctors in the past and things move so fast that sometimes you don't get to say everything you want. But instead of explaining why his carnivore doctor colleague, Dr. Baker's blood tests look like shit, Salty Paul does what he's best at. Cherry pick some more evidence.
So in 1930, there was a study published in the British Medical Journal of a year-long investigation of 2 people in Bellevue Medical Hospital who were eating an exclusive carnivore diet. And during that period of time, these people experienced no negative effects, no dangerous changes in blood pressure, kidney function. They only experienced good things, a little bit of weight loss, and came out of the study saying that they felt better than when they started. So there have been prolonged, detailed studies of a full carnivore diet.
It's a 1-year study from 1930.
Of 2 people.
Literally, there are thousands and thousands of studies that show the benefits of fruits, vegetables, nuts.
So let's back up. Let me remind you that Paul is a doctor. He should be really good at reading studies and knowing what studies hold more weight based on their sample size, their controls, if they're randomized, all that good stuff. So the one study he chooses to mention is a study from 100 years ago. It's a time where we didn't have a fraction of the tests that we would use for a study like this now. Alrighty, now you've been eating only meat for a little over a year, huh? Well, your heart is beating and you are alive, so I'm gonna say you're healthy. Case closed. If this test was done today, they would have had things like CAC scanning, which helps us to see how much plaque is built up in someone's arteries. This makes me think that there's so little scientific data about carnivorism that he had to choose an outdated, completely irrelevant study like this. So he's going off of personal opinion and basically useless studies. Nice.
I just want to say, unfortunately, it's going to be 10 to 20 years till we can really judge if there's actually ever a prospective study of more than 2 people in the 1930s, cancer and heart disease risks. These are slow-growing processes.
Yep, good point. Wait, that's exactly the plan. For the next 10 to 20 years, tell the people whatever you want. Just make sure you do it with a lot of confidence and a big smile on your face. And whatever you do, don't address any of the science that goes against your claims.
Pickles.
Sorry, I was getting a little distracted. Pickles are plants, right? They're made from cucumber. Okay, good. That's what I thought. I just got a little confused because Dr. Paul told me that they're animal-based.
So if you can find really good, truly fermented cucumbers as pickles, I think they're great to have in your diet, and I wouldn't mind eating them at all. I think they're great, definitely an animal-based food.
Why would he say that they're animal-based? Is this the brain fog that people say vegans need to look out for? Maybe. But maybe it goes deeper than that.
After 2 years of a ketogenic carnivore diet of just meat, organs, fat, and salt, I quit. I quit that ketogenic diet and I added fruit and honey to my diet.
Okay, remember earlier when I said that Paul had to quit his all-meat carnivore diet because of health issues?
This is why I quit a ketogenic diet, and I think maybe you should also.
Wait, what about the code?
Many of you know this. I wrote that book, The Carnivore Code. I was carnivore, strictly meat, organs, and fat and salt for 2 years. Then I began to have some pretty significant issues.
Huh, who would have guessed?
Muscle cramps, heart palpitations, which is when your heart flutters, trouble sleeping. Noticed my testosterone was dropping from about 700 to 800 to about 500. My sex hormone binding globulin was going up, all sorts of issues.
Wait. This is the same guy who told us not to worry about our cholesterol earlier, right?
Had a little come to carbohydrate Jesus moment and added carbohydrates back to my diet. Started with honey, then I did fruit for the last 2.5 years. Feel a lot better. Electrolytes got better. Cramps got better. Testosterone went back up. Heart palpitations went away. Sex hormone binding globulin is cut in half. Why did all that happen? Because insulin is actually valuable for humans.
So you followed a diet telling everyone it's perfect, but then that very same diet ruined your health to the point that your heart was fluttering. Then you added fruits and carbs back in, felt amazing, and now you're telling everyone to do the same. Someone give Paul the gold medal because that was a whole lot of mental gymnastics. I get it now. Pickles are animal-based because Paul's brand is carnivorism, but his health doesn't do great with it. So he just moves the goalpost by redefining the definition. Did you know that Paul claims he used to be vegan?
I used to be a raw vegan. For 7 months of my life, all I ate were raw vegetables, raw fruit, and raw nuts. I had 2 heads of kale a day. I had fatigue, I had eczema. I was 25 pounds of lean muscle mass lighter, and I looked like this. So skinny, I couldn't even get a date.
Is this guy serious? So when he was plant-based, he avoids protein, and then he wonders why he lost 25 pounds of lean muscle mass. Look, if you're a new vegan, or if you've been vegan for years and you want to avoid going down the Paul route, you want help building a better body, maybe break through some plateaus, join my coaching program, work one-on-one with me on buffvegans.com. Maybe if Paul would have hit me up, he would have succeeded and his cholesterol wouldn't be out there setting new high scores. Let me know. Who should be next to face the meat grinder? Like it, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.